Our next guest is backing the current frontrunner. Let's welcome in Tennessee Congressman Andy Ogles. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us. So you've already endorsed former President Trump back in early May. He did the same for you. Do you think another candidate stands a chance against him in the primary?
Well, I mean, if you're Donald Trump, you're hoping for a crowded primary. I mean, the more slices of the pie that you get in there is better for him because his slice is already so large. I mean, his floor is greater than most of these candidates' ceiling. And so I would predict, I'm happy to say this, that Trump, even if he is indicted, will be the nominee for the Republican Party.
Congressman, I want to talk about the debt ceiling. The bill passed last week. 71 Republicans voted against it. And then yesterday, the Hill with some reporting about the conservative revolt that took place on the House floor. Basically, 11 Republicans, mostly members of the Freedom Caucus, walked off the floor, refusing to advance bills related to gas stoves. I know that's something that you're passionate about. Basically saying they're going to block any future legislation until McCarthy offers some type of concession. What do you make of this?
Well, to be clear, I mean, there were, the way the sausage gets made in D.C. isn't pretty. And there were some threats made during the debt ceiling fight that bills would be held up. That's been reported by the media. And so I think you had a few individuals that said, look, the pistol brace rule that went into effect June 1st is targeting over 38 million Americans when you look at products sold. And so they were saying, look, you need to put that bill back on the calendar, and you need to protect all of these honest Americans who bought a pistol brace. They bought them legally. They own them legally until the ATF decided to reinterpret the rule. And so with that, what I can tell you, because I've been in the room, both sides are negotiating in good faith to come to a resolution. But at the end of the day, it's imperative that the pistol brace bill that is sponsored by Andrew Clyde get to the floor and it pass, because you have law-abiding citizens that now have been turned into felons because we have a woke government under this administration.
Betsy?
Congressman, I want to break in on two issues. First, are we going to be able to make any more progress in stopping the Democrats from giving all the money away to people who refuse to work? I know that was a sticking point in the debt ceiling negotiations. And secondly, what can you do to keep them out of our kitchens? I love my gas stove.
Well, so, I'm a country boy from, that lives in Tennessee. We have a gas stove. We live back in the valley on top of a hill. And so when the ice storms come in Tennessee, we may be locked in for a few days. And so I need my gas stove. My family needs the gas stove, right? And quite frankly, gas is more efficient than electric. So that being said, we've got to advance that. But I think what you're seeing here is this bill is being held up temporarily so that we can make sure that Americans who own these pistol braces get their fair shake. Now, that being said, to your other point with the work requirements for SNAP and TANF, the date at which that you have to be working was increased from 49 to 54, but then there was all these waivers added. So under this current Fiscal Responsibility Act, that actually adds more people to the roll. So I'm not sure how that calculates as a savings when you're actually increasing the number of people to get the benefit. And that's part of my problem and why I voted no. We have 32 trillion in debt. Arguably 38 trillion is the break point, depending on what economists you listen to. So we're about to add $4 trillion more dollars to it. And it should be noted, the Fiscal Responsibility Act is calendar certain, date certain, not dollar certain. So $4 trillion can balloon into $5 trillion.
Yeah, Congressman, you were one of the 71 that voted no. Just quickly, about 15 seconds, we've got one of your colleagues waiting on standby right now. Are you upset with Kevin McCarthy that they pushed this deal across the goal line?
I don't think upset's the right word. I'm disappointed. When you look at the Limit Save Grow Act, there was a lot of input, a lot of hard work went into that piece of legislation. It was well thought out. It was responsible. It really should have been accepted by the other side. So the Fiscal Responsibility Act was a bad deal and it should have never passed. All
right, Congressman Andy Ogles, we appreciate you being with us. I want to welcome in the Congressman's colleague, retired U.S. Navy Commander Congressman Ryan Zinke, who was listening in there of the great state of Montana. Great to see you this morning. You also a no vote on this bill. Tell us why.
Well, let's be clear. The bill itself had a lot of good in it. The problem is it didn't address the debt. It had work requirements. It had some, looking at defunding the IRS. It had some permit reform. All that was good. And if it was a standalone bill, it would have passed with flying colors. The problem is it just did not address the debt. And you're never going to address the debt unless we look at appropriations and Congress does their job and goes back to appropriating everything. And here's the secret sauce, is 75% of the budget is on overdrive. It's on auto. Congress doesn't even review it. When you have 75% of the budget on overdrive and Congress doesn't do their job, this is why we have the financial crisis we're in. We got to appropriate everything. Go back to the Constitution, Article 1, Section 9.
Mark?
Good morning, Congressman. If one of your constituents asked you this question, how would you answer? Congressman, I think Kevin McCarthy is a liberal, accommodationist squish and a rhino. What do you think?
No. Look, Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House. He's also the driver behind a Republican agenda. So he is not a squish, but he is a realist. And again, on the debt ceiling, I'm going to agree to disagree with him. But I can tell you, it's a lot different than voting against a rule. When you vote against a rule in the majority, what you're doing is you're essentially handing the gavel over to Joaquin Jeffries. I mean, this is ridiculous. We're only as good as the majority. Have the debate on the floor on a bill, but on the debt, we need to go further. And the second bite is appropriations. I sit on appropriations. Appropriations is the key to getting our financial house in order. If it isn't worthy of funding, appropriations should not fund it.
Congressman, it sounds like you're being critical of your colleagues who voted against the rule. What would you say to them, and is this a danger to Kevin McCarthy and leadership operating the House?
No, I voted on the rule. I think number one is, again, if you vote against a rule and you're in the majority, you're really handing the gavel over. So let's focus on what we said in the beginning.
Is it a danger? Is it a danger? I'm sorry to interrupt, but is it a danger to his speakership?
No, I don't believe it is. But I do agree the pistol brace. And look, the Rule Committee, there's conservative bills that should be on the floor. We should vote for your constituents. Number one, Constitution. Number two, vote your district. And we should be putting conservative bills on the floor on all sides of the spectrum of the Republican Party.
So, Congressman Rob Finnerty, you're saying McCarthy is safe as Speaker. We knew this was a possibility in January when he went through the battle to win over the gavel. He won the gavel. By all accounts, he's had a great first 140 days up until late last week, according to, you're one of them, the 71 that voted against this debt ceiling bill. He's safe as Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I look at it this way. This is a very, very serious ball game, and we're probably at halftime. The next step is appropriations.
Right.
He had some victories on the debt bill itself, but again, the bill did not address the debt. Now the next thing is let's get to the next play. The next play is going to be the appropriations, and like any performer, any leader, he has to perform. And look, we have a caucus that is dedicated to protecting this country on both sides, and we're going to do what the people sent us here to do.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Congressman, enjoyed the segment. Ryan Zinke in Montana, we appreciate it. Come back and see us.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, and God bless, guys.
You too.
You too.